This is an XR15 Shorty. We call it a bullpup.
So today we are talking about the Keltec RDB Defender. Right, this is a bullpup 556. Weighs in at about 6.7 pounds. Total length about 27 inches, and of course, being a bullpup rifle, it has a 16-inch barrel. Also, some of the stats on this: 4.5 to 5.5 pound trigger pull, and overall, just kind of a fun gun.
We call it a bullpup.
So, as we go through this, the philosophy of use for this gun would be, in this case, frankly, plinking. A bullpup, especially one of this size, would typically be used for CQB, close quarters battle. However, I mean, it is a Keltec. It does feel like a Keltec. If you guys have shot them, you know what I mean. It's like a glorified piece of plastic, but still a lot of fun, and could be used for CQB for those who are potentially, looking just for one or two guns. Now, for those of us who have a pretty robust gun collection, just having something different than your typical AR or AK platform that is just fun and different weapon systems to learn and utilize. Yeah, this is a pretty fun gun. And in fact, it shoots fairly well too. So Keltecs do have a reputation of either being hit or miss, very, very reliable or horribly unreliable. In this case, I haven't had any issues with this whatsoever. But the philosophy of use could be for a person who owns one or two guns or is just strictly looking for home defense. This could be considered a home defense rifle, as long as you are getting a reliable Keltec gun. For those of us that are gun collectors and just want something different, it totally fulfills the bill. So with that, those would be the philosophy of uses with this gun. Now the pros. The pros of this gun are the short package. This is 27 inches in total. So when you shoulder this gun, you're not reaching out too far. As you can see, I'm a lefty. I have this configured for right-handed people because I'm doing this video. Most of you out there, statistically speaking, are right-handed. But I'm gonna show you my grip here as a lefty. So as you come across, I put a foregrip on it. You can just grab the handguard in and of itself. I highly recommend a foregrip though with any kind of bullpup, because unlike an AR-15, where honestly not necessarily recoil but muzzle rise is a real issue, in this case when you're shouldering nice and tight, you want to be able to drop it in there and get high up on the beaver tail, get a good grip, and then get a good grip here. If you want to, you can reach across. In this case, I put the pressure pad for the light. Right, I got an O light on there just because I'm not really going to be utilizing this for any other purpose other than plinking, but I kind of feel a necessity to put a light on it. So as you see there, I got my O light. The other pros, with this gun being a short package, even though it's got a 16-inch barrel, an adjustable gas block. So for those of you, as you see this here, depending on whether or not you're going to run this suppressed, or depending on what type of grain of bullet you're operating on, you can actually adjust it, and it's fairly simple because it's not, deep in the recesses of the gun. So that is a good thing. My favorite part about this being a bullpup, though, is in fact that a trigger is normally really wonky, really wonky on a bullpup. This one is super crisp. So 4.5, 5.5 pounds, easy. I can live with that. So if you look here, very little play and a really crisp pull. Now the reset's not bad either. Let's take a look. A lot of play, and there we go, there's the click. So the back and forth has got a little bit of play there on the reset, but the crispness of the pull is very unique to a bullpup. In fact, that's probably one of the best ones I've felt in terms of the pull. Reset, got a little bit of room there. But for those of us that are looking for something different to shoot, or for someone who is an novice to intermediate shooter, they're not really going to be able to tell the difference, and you're going to have fun with it as a CQB or self-defense type of gun. Other pros, this can be, as a lefty, be configured for a lefty with the charging handle being here up on the front. So you see here, much like a CZ Scorpion or MP5. It's got the charging handle there. Give it the old slap, comes right back. You can switch sides on the charging handle. Even though I'm a lefty, I have yet to switch the sides because I use this for people that are right-handed shooters when they come out to the range with me. Hence why you have this set up at the light as a righty as well, just to kind of give people a standard feel. I can still shoot it in this right-handed configuration. It's still fun, but I'm certainly not going to use this for self-defense or hunting. Right. The rails, as we look here on the top, it's got your standard Picatinny rails up top. I have mounted a Primary Arms AC SS Raptor. I love this optic. It works fairly well for this. This, given the distance that you're really going to find accuracy with this gun, you could run a red dot with a magnifier if you really wanted some distance. So some of the cons of this gun. Although you can set it up to be left-handed, it's not great for lefties. Reason being is that the ejection port shoots right down your shirt. So from where it comes out, I've had shells fall into my pocket. And please excuse some of the videos that we have here. There was one day that we went out to the range, brought a bunch of Keltecs and I had to do reviews, and somebody stole all my stuff. 3 miles into the desert, in the middle of nowhere, covered with a tarp, all of my stuff was taken. So that day I just got to shoot some soda cans on the ground.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
That being said, this one is a lot of fun, right? When I'm shooting it, I didn't have any real issues, but the cons in terms of being a lefty were the fact that those shells were falling right into my pocket. Not a great spot to have those fall. It could kind of hurt and burn the nips a bit. So, not perfectly set up for lefties. My biggest complaint about the gun is there's no real precise purpose. For those of us who want a self-defense gun, we might go, I don't know, you might SBR it or just an AR pistol because we understand how to utilize an AR. It's my biggest complaint, frankly, and Keltec, I gotta blame you guys on this. You're not used to doing M-LOK rails. These M-LOK rails don't feel like they're necessarily the right measurements. I had a lot of trouble getting some of these attachments on there, barely fitting, and the handguard itself almost feels a bit mushy. I know that sounds weird, but the handguard itself doesn't necessarily feel as sturdy as most handguards out there. I'd have to check the material, maybe the aluminum's a little bit soft, but after connecting it once, I actually had a failure with the front foregrip coming a little bit loose. So I had to do some general gunsmithing to kind of get that to fit nice and tight. But I think Keltec, not really being your M-LOK handguard tactical defense type of guns, their first RDB was just a giant plastic handguard. I think their first shot at this wasn't perfect, but I've made it work. Everything's able to stick, but just be prepared for that and getting a little bit of frustration. But overall, the problem is that if you're a intermediate to above average shooter, you're gonna like it because you're gonna have something different, but you're gonna end up spending $1,200 to $1,400 on something that you're not gonna use that much. And if you're a novice to intermediate shooter, you're going to lack some of the experience of shooting something that's a little bit more high end and might have some malfunctions or failures. Now keep in mind, again, this one I've had 0 failures. So overall, while I couldn't wait to get my hands on this gun, my overall thought process since has been a bit of, I want a little bit more. The distance that I can shoot with it reliably in this case, I mean, you don't really want to stretch past 200 yards. Most 5.56 can, but the accuracy seems to fall off. It has that little clank that you normally get with a direct blowback system, like such as this bullpup. So when it comes back, you hear a little bit of a clank. Kind of unique, actually. I like hearing something different when I'm shooting a gun, but it's not perfect. So for those of us, overall, if I were to give this a ranking, overall, if I were in my case, I bought this to have something different and to shoot it, just to have fun plinking. If you're your standard gun owner who's looking for home self-defense, this very well might be a good option because of the short package, yet you're getting the velocity of the normal barrel. You might have you be careful of the rounds that you choose, because then you might have some of the shells and brass going where you don't want it to go. So once it breaks through somebody, you don't want it going through a wall. All that being said, I like the gun. My toughest decision to make is where do I place this in my purpose and why I would use this gun. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a high point, 10 being a high-end Gucci modeled AR, I would put this at about a 6.5. This is kind of fun and gets the job done. And would I recommend it? Depending on what you're looking for and who you are, yeah, I give this a thumbs up. For watching our station. If you're watching on Guns and Blammo, please join us on Username for some political, Hollyweird, and other fun socially relevant commentary. And if you're watching us on Username, be sure to subscribe to Guns and Blammo for, well, guns and some serious blammo. Needless to say, YouTube doesn't take too kindly on our show topics, so please like, share, and subscribe to both stations so we can beat that Nazi algorithm and make the world a better place. If you'd like to support the work that we do and help us put out more awesome content, please click the link below for our subscribe star to make a donation. Thank you, God bless, and see you on the next show.